Greetings and welcome to my new space program. Except today we're not going to space. As you can see, we have this airplane and we're going to try fly it around some. You'll remember last week when I more or less voluntarily ended my previous video series or space program. I asked for suggestions for a new series, something to do while you wait for the next patch, what is it, 0.24 to come out. And King Banshee made a suggestion, a good suggestion, that I'm not going to follow because right after Squad made an update, Harvester made a blog post of progress for the new update, and I want to be on board for when that is released. And both the ideas presented by King Banshee, while good, are quite long term. So I want to have something basically filler. Okay, I'm not gonna try and deceive you here. This is basically filler. But I'm trying to make it as interesting and unique and purposeful filler as I possibly can. So what I'm actually going to do is this. Something with planes, starting off with a fully atmospheric plane and maybe working my way upward, both literally and figuratively. So for this, as you can see, I have installed Ferrum Aerospace. I also have the, what's it called, Realistic Jet Engines mod. Links in the description if you're interested. This should provide a fairly realistic experience of flying planes. So yeah, everything I learned about constructing aircraft I learned from Scott Manley, and everything I learned about flying aircraft I learned from IL2. So I think maybe, just maybe, I have something to add to the discussion here. As you can see, I'm flying this without SAS, and I think I also disabled the cockpit torque, so this should be a fairly realistic experience of flying. And we are coming into land on the island runway. Just a test flight to see if I can land this thing I just threw together. Let's see, looks like I'm coming in very high up. Can I? No, I don't think. Nope. Abort, redo, fly around. I want to point out that this is not a failed landing. Had I tried to land and inevitably crashed, that would have been a failed landing. One mark of a good pilot is knowing when to abort. So we're going to fly around and try landing again. I hope that this series, space program, yeah, we're gonna try to go to space, so let's call it space program, that this space program is at least going to be a little bit interesting. I'm choosing airplanes because this is the area I have focused the least on previously. During the almost full year soon I have had this channel, I have had one aircraft. One. The lathe plane. So it's interesting to see what you could do. I have, of course, used aircraft off camera a bit, because why not? You need to try stuff out. So now I'm going to try to do this seriously. I have yet to think of goals, but creating a realistic airplane as this one that I can handle is maybe the first one, and secondly, high altitude jet or space plane that we can maybe go to the moon or mun. So let's do something like that. Anyway, we are coming in for our second try. This approach is looking a lot better, keeping a better altitude and a lower speed. Let's see if we can maybe not kill Jeb this time. Okay, it's a little wobbly. Touchdown. Oh, bounced. Okay, come on, bounce again. Oh, abort. Oh. Okay, that was maybe a bit too close. Tower says that's enough trying for today. Let's go home and land on a proper runway and maybe, hopefully, probably not die. Yeah. So those bounces you do when you're trying to land they're actually very dangerous because you have a very low speed you have very low airspeed, which means your wings are providing very little lift. So when you bounce up a few meters in the air and you have no lift. So you're more or less in free fall. And even though the KSP landing gear is very robust, especially when flying a flight simulator, just dropping an airplane from a few meters up, that's not good. So yeah, very not good. Okay, so we are approaching the proper runway, which is larger, easier to see, and you have a proper approach this time, a very proper approach. So let's see if you can land this. I must say I have actually not landed this plane at all before. This is the first time flying it. So let's see if we can do this. This approach is looking very good. We'll have even lower airspeed and good altitude. Let's see, let's watch from outside for simplicity. And touchdown! Brake, don't fall over and don't run over the edge. Come on. Come on. Careful. And yeah, I think we have it. Oh, yes! Ha! Landed. And nothing exploded. This is a great victory. First successful landing. Let's turn off the engines. They don't spin to a stop with these mods. So let's get Jeopardy out and just do a victory jump. Okay. Yay! Actually, let's put him on the ground. We did install this ladder after all. And yay! We did it! Landed an aircraft. Okay, so let's try the same aircraft again. Turn off the cockpit torque, and this time we're going to just see what it has to offer. See how fast this aircraft is. Let's do a proper speed test. This is going to be level flying at different altitudes, and just see if we can break the sound barrier maybe. So the engines with the mod are acting a bit differently. These ones have an afterburner, even though I haven't installed the mods that are required for the visual effects. If you run the engines on more than 66%, you get the afterburner, which produces a lot more thrust, but uses a lot more fuel. So we're going to try and use the afterburners here to see how fast we can make this aircraft go. Also, maybe I should mention something about the design. Two-engine aircraft, I wanted to make something that looked fairly realistic, and using the guidance that Ferrum Aerospace, what's it called, editor thing, gives you in the spaceplane hangar, I was able to construct this, and it's fairly stable. You have to try to get it to do a flat spin or something like that. Okay, so the Mach numbers we are getting are significantly below 1, and we get an airspeed of 200 something meters per second. So let's try this slightly higher altitude. Now we're approaching Mach 1, but it doesn't really want to go there. And we're running full blast and sucking fuel out of the tanks. So yeah, that's enough. We need to be able to fly home and land. Of course, this is a proper mission. So turn off the afterburners, do a very nice and gentle turn. We can afford with all the altitude we have. So let's fly home. Actually, we're getting quite a good amount of speed in this low altitude, even though we're not using the afterburners. Maybe we can break the sound barrier on a lower altitude. Let's try. And I'm thinking the engines have of course modified behavior, and lower in the atmosphere we have denser air, so we have more oxygen coming in to the turbines. Maybe this is helping us gain speed. We can't break Mach 1 on level flight. It appears as if we cannot. So let's end this mission by landing on the runway. This angle is pretty good. We can come down. I think this is gonna work. And I prefer to do the approach at least from inside the cockpit, because then you have a very clear view of the runway if you're doing your approach correctly, and you have the airspeed velocity indicator, which is very good to have, and you have the cockpit instrumentation, your vertical velocity and rate of descent, and the radar altimeter, of course. Let's see if we can do this from inside the cockpit, all of it. This should work, so you just don't explode. Come on, and okay, there we go. Now slow down without tipping over, please. Okay, there's a double stripes, full block. There's a triple stripes. We're running out of runway. Yeah, but the craft is slow. Oh, we did it! And there we go. Yes, landed from inside the cockpit, and you saw it. That was first try. Or I did a very, very, very long retake, but I did not. Okay, parking brake. So that's an achievement to be proud of, I feel. Possible to land this aircraft from inside the cockpit. Okay, so one last test flight. We're going to try to break the sound barrier just no matter what. And I have figured out you can make this aircraft take off without touching the rudder, without touching the stick. You just throttle up as much as you dare, and it should just leave. Yeah, it's actually going upwards. So let's get a gear in and let's get some altitude. And let's use the afterburners to make this happen. And there goes the nose gear. Yeah, if we're gonna land, we need that part. And despite it being attached with struts, it still falls off. So yeah, I guess this is an unofficial simulation or something like that. But never mind, let's just let's climb and then dive and see if we can break the sound barrier. Because with this realistic aerodynamics, it's significantly harder to break the sound barrier. I mean, in stock KSP, you just slap some engines and go. So let's see, we have afterburners, and actually this aircraft is just doing this on its own. I'm not even touching the controls. I haven't even trimmed it. It just goes up and then levels out, and when it starts to dive, I help it a bit to get as powerful dive, as steep as dive as possible, while running the engines with 100% power, 100% afterburner, just to see if we can break the sound barrier, which we do. 1.103. That's the maximum Mach number we can get. And sure, that felt great, leveling out that dive, pulling some 10 Gs. Fortunately, Jebediah is very used to this. So that's it. We know how well this aircraft handles. I hope you enjoyed watching this episode, and I hope to see you again for the next one. Goodbye!